For years, I thought that consistency was the answer. And when it stopped working, I then thought that I was the problem. If I could just show up every day the same way and do the things I'm supposed to do that I know I'm supposed to do, then things would just work out. If I could maintain over a period of time, I would get the results. And over again, I saw that consistency for me was not giving up. But not giving up meant that at times I was in full swing of many things, and other times I was doing like nearly nothing. And it kept coming down to, and the feedback I kept getting from the world was I wasn't disciplined enough, I wasn't motivated enough, and I wasn't focused enough. And I was like, all of those things can't be true. What I see now is that I didn't actually fail because of consistency. What I failed to see was that my energy shifts were information, not failure. What I mean by information is that I don't believe every day is supposed to be the same. There are very few people that can like even eat the same breakfast every day. So why would I think that my output for work, whether that's my 9 to 5 or my entrepreneurial job, or even my consistency in keeping my life going, why would I ever imagine that that is supposed to be the same energy output every day when I don't feel the same every day? So it's not a lack of commitment. It's not a lack of trying. It's not a lack of any other character thing. It's truly information. And where I think we've really missed the boat is that the information is meant to help us flow. It's meant to help us craft our lives. A lot of our patterns are very predictable and we're not great at seeing them. And I also think because a lot of how the world is structured patriarchally, I'm just going to say it, we never took into effect that women's schedules, women's cycles are not meant to be in everyday full capacity, full things. And also never took into account how much nurturing and caregiving and mental load happens when you're running a household or a family or your life. So when it comes to inconsistency, the information we're getting is that some days are not going to be at full capacity. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the thing that we've been given is as a woman, as a uterus owner, some days are better for thinking. Some days are better for creativity. Some days are for maintenance. Some days are for rest. We are terrible at that. Consistency also assumes that the output should be the same regardless of the context. And our real life is full of context. Some days you have to get up early and do XYZ. Some days you're out late. Some days you have capacity changes and energy shifts, and your attention moves, and different seasons of life are busier, more travel, more family. Pretending that all of that doesn't exist does not make us any better, any stronger, our businesses any better, us a better person, a better partner, a better mother, any of that. It just makes us tired and burnt out. So when I started realizing that I work better in cycles was about the same time that I started realizing that I am really good when I'm in sales, which is what I've spent one portion of my side hustle life in. I'm really good in a sprint. And now that I put more of these pieces together about cycles and energy shifts and energy flow and capacity, I'm like, oh, of course. That makes so much sense why I'm better at sales sprints is I'm actually just better at sprints in general when my capacity is higher. So instead of asking how I can be more consistent, I started asking what fits in today. And instead of thinking about consistency as something I have to do all the time for my business, I wanted to start thinking about what does it actually mean to be consistent in a business in 2026? What is the baseline that's sort of expected from my audience, social, email, all of those places, so that whatever I can do to make sure that I stay front of mind and someone who's contributing to their lives, I need to plan that. And how I plan that is within my cycles. So I'm not planning anymore that I'm always going to every week do content. I'm not planning anymore that I'm going to every single week be able to be at full creativity, full anything. I'm planning within the ebb and flow of how my life normally is. What's really interesting though is that once I started looking at my own cycle and identifying my energy flows, I could then look 5, 6, 7 weeks out and go, I have a pretty good idea how I'm going to feel on those days. Now I can back it up and actually plan for what kind of day I'm going to have. In my 9 to 5, I can't necessarily switch the day that like something's due or a presentation is or I'm in person with a client, but I can figure out how to support myself around that. I can figure out how to make sure I have gotten as much sleep as I could, as much nutrition as I could, and I've set up all of the parts of my life to be able to really accommodate as best I can whatever it is I have going on. Ignoring that I'm gonna be ebbing and flowing doesn't work anymore. And what I think has become in the last couple of weeks really true is I'm making a conscious, intentional choice, especially with the side businesses that I'm building and with people that I'm talking to about cycle living, is I'm deciding I'm doing things on certain days and I'm deciding I'm not doing things on other days. So I'm on day 13 of my cycle right now, and I'm about 5 days out, maybe 6 days out from sort of going dormant for about 2 weeks. I'm not doing nothing during those 2 weeks, but I'm not working on my business. I'm not recording content. I'm not probably doing very much heavy lifting as far as emotional labor or physical labor. So yesterday I cleaned my house top to bottom. On Sunday I'll do sheets and bathrooms. So I'm taking the cycles as the information about my capacity and that capacity to plan. And that's very different than the system that we've sort of been set up as, right? The lineal setup that we have about consistency, it's really unfortunately, I think mainstream become like it's about shame and it's about your character. It's about your willingness to like go above and beyond. What I'm asking and what I want the narrative to start change to is start to think about your changing capacity, your fluctuating energy, the invisible labor that you're carrying around that you aren't taking into consideration, even yourself. That's one. Okay, hang on. That's going to be a tangent in a second. Your emotional load and your season of your life. So the whole narrative about consistency wants to add in those layers. The invisible labor, I'm just going to tangent for a second since we're talking. I love that we are working towards having more men understanding invisible labor. Women, darlings, uterus owners, you are not yourself fully embodying what that invisible labor and the emotional load is for you. You're not changing your schedule. You're not adjusting your life. You're continuously pushing those boundaries of how tired do I have to get before everything breaks. So, yes, it's good that we're educating, but we have to be the ones that step into this is the capacity I have for my life today. I don't want it to be like this the next time I get to this day. What do I need to change? Sorry. Okay, soapbox over. Um, I can't promise I won't come back to that soapbox though, because it drives me nuts. Because yes, I do need men to catch up, sure, but also I need us to be advocates for the life that we're creating. Okay, so living in cycles, living in rhythms, consistency is done. What consistency actually now wants you to know is if things aren't getting done that you think are priorities, look back 3 weeks. How did you set yourself up to actually get it done? And make the decision. Is this actually something that I'm just leaking energy thinking I'm supposed to do it? Or is this something you're actually committed to doing? If you are committed to doing it, how can you back up your life to figure out how to actually like make it happen? Okay, more on that later. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.